Mary Helendera, Taylor Automotive family, women in the driver's seat. I am here with Joan Coase, and we are going to be meeting another fabulous Findlay female. Who are we meeting today?
Today, we had the pleasure of meeting with Carolyn Copus, and she is the executive director of 50 North. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Well, let's get inside and meet this incredible woman.
So today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Carolyn Copus. Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Joan, for asking me. This is kind of intimidating.
So you have been on my radar since the beginning when we started this, but you are always so busy doing a wonderful job here at 50 North that this is the first time we've been able to get it to work with the schedule. So we really appreciate that. So you have had multiple jobs before you took this job that have really impacted Findlay. You've had a big impact on the jobs that you've done. Can you tell us just a little bit about those jobs before we go into what you're doing now?
Sure. It was interesting because when I was young, you're trying to figure out what you want to do. And I was a lifeguard, and I remember one of the members or participants, we were talking, it was Sue Kill. Oh. And if you remember her.
Yes.
And I was just talking to her that I really like to coordinate things and events. And I like sports. And she goes, well, there's this program called Sports Administration and Facility Management. So at a very young, in high school, I had already decided that that's the path I wanted to take. So after I finished my master's in sports administration and facility management from Ohio University, I was at UNC Charlotte, and a job opportunity was available up here at the University of Toledo. And for some reasons, I didn't take the job. And I landed at what was called the Findlay Area Arts Council. And so that was an organization that planned outdoor festivals. We had a performing arts series and arts and education. So I started in that, and I absolutely loved it. And then it was kind of my baby.
That's where I first met you.
That's there. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And we had lots of volunteers. It was a great job. But then I had babies of my own, and my husband, it was a firefighter. And I just was spending so much time there that I transitioned to the Health Foundation because I really gravitated to raising money. And so helped raise money for the new hospital. And then I went to Birchaven because we were doing building independent living and condos. And I went out there on a volunteer program, and I was really skittish because when I grew up, I was in Camp Fire. And
did you go to Camp Glen?
I did go to Camp Glen.
I did too. We were probably there at the same time.
And I went, but I remember going and caroling at the old county home when I was young, and it smelled, and people were on gurneys, like strapped down, moaning, bright lights, that older people made me cry. So when I went out to Birchaven, I was like, okay, I can do this. Well, then I would cry because they made me laugh so hard with all of their stories. And so there was an opportunity then to come here. And I'll have to say, throughout my life, I've put Christ at the center, and where does God want me to go? And I really didn't want to leave the arts partnership, but I needed to grow my children and be there for them. And then when I went to Birchaven and fell in love with being around older adults, this just seemed like a great opportunity to be here because I used to coordinate sports and activities, which we have the wellness center here, and we have activities. Oh my gosh, when I was in college and first graduated and came back to Findlay before I started working at the Arts Council, I was a waitress for Rocking You, which was the hardest job I've ever done. So then there's that nutrition component. When you're at Birchaven, there's a lot of social work and working with older adults in their, transitions in life. And we have the social workers here. And then last, the chore building. And my husband, on his days off at the fire department, built homes. And so I felt comfortable around all the services
Right.
that we provided. So I just felt like God had prepared me for the job that I'm in now.
Yep, it's a perfect fit for you. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about 50 North? I know you just won the best senior center in 24. That's huge in the whole state.
We did.
That's awesome.
So the Ohio Association of Senior Center Board, which I'm on that board now, I wasn't at the time we received the award. They've only given that out twice.
Wow.
So it's quite an honor. And, I really attribute it to when I first came here in 2013, the board was saying we want to expand. Well, I always say I could throw a bowling ball anywhere into this building and not hit anyone. So I'm like, well, let's do a facility utilization study. So hired somebody from North Carolina, South Carolina, who was on the national level, and she came here and asked the members, what do you want? And I think that was a pivotal point in this organization because we were asking our volunteers, our staff, our members, board, what do you want in a senior center? And the interesting thing is we probably had 16 different recommendations that came from them. And the very first one was change your name. And I'm like, wait, facility, what do you want to do? How much space do you need? What do you mean change your name? And they said, I don't care what activities you do in there. I don't care, what you do. I'm not going in there with the word aging because we were a Hancock County Agency on Aging with senior. So our first initiative was to change our name. The second was to expand our services and programming that fit 3 generations, the greatest generation, the silent generation, and then those baby boomers were coming in who wanted completely different activities and programming than the silent generation did. The silent generation was fine with dance on Tuesday night, bridge on Thursday night, another card game, having a meal. Well, baby boomers wanted a list of activities that were done on multiple days and a lot different types of activities, much more active. And so we had to look at those 3 generations, not forgetting, the greatest generation and the silent generation, but adding those components, expanding our hours beyond 8 to 4. And we were open actually 7 days a week. And we really got into wellness and fitness. And that really expanded our programming. So after we changed our name to 50 North, the floodgates opened. And then we added new programming and services. And then they said, we really think that you need to renovate this current building, expand it now because we built capacity and we were running out of room. And then we had this green space to the west of us to expand and do something with that. So that was our path. And our 5 areas of service are activities, chore, nutrition, outreach, and wellness. And then we do travel because what's the first thing when you ask someone what they want to do when they retire? I want to travel. So we just expanded all of our service lines throughout that. And in 2016, the county was so generous to us because we were growing so much and we knew we wanted to expand and renovate that they doubled the levy dollars that we received. And because of that generosity, that's why we have this now. In 2020, actually in 2019, the board had made a decision to go ahead and move forward with doubling the size of our building because we really were on waiting list, it was packed in here. And so in August of 2019, they decided we're going to move forward and we were going to do it while we were open. In March of 2020, they mobilized here And 3 days afterwards, we closed because of COVID, and we were only going to be closed for 2.5 weeks. Well, the Ohio Department of Aging actually closed senior centers for a whole year. And so the board made the decision, let's renovate, expand, and get it all done. So we actually were under budget by 12% and got done 2 months in advance. So June of 2026, when we're allowed to be open, and no, June of 2021, we were able to be open, and we had our grand opening. And now we have what we have today. And we actually are running out of room again, as you all
see that.
Yeah, as you all were walking in, you could see the parking lot is filled, and we have a lot of activity that's going on. And so now we paid off that debt in 5 years, this building, and that was from generosity of donors, as well as our levy dollars allow us to pay down debt, but not build and expand. So we had saved money for 2 or 3 years. And so within 5 years, we paid that off. And that month, we started the expansion out, what we call the West Green Space, where we're putting a pavilion where we'll have an open space and we can have classes out there. We're going to have a walking path with a pergola where we could do yoga out there. We'll be able to do bocce ball and other outside fun activities. And then we also have a chore building because all of our equipment is outside. And unfortunately, being in the neighborhood that we're in, we've had a covered trailer stolen at night. We've had someone throw bricks into our windows of our van where all our tools are. So now we'll be able to secure all of our vehicles, all of our mowing equipment, our snow removal. But we also are going to have a woodworking shop out there.
Fun.
So our guys will be able to build ramps and take them to people's homes. We're building probably 2 ramps a month for people so they can stay independent in their home. But we'll also be able to have woodworking classes out there.
That'd be great. What advice would you give women who dare to get behind the wheel and drive an organization?
So I think the first thing is you need to find that that's your purpose, and that is, you have to be humbled. You are humbled. You have to have a servant heart. So before you would get behind driving an organization, because it's really exciting to see something grow, but there comes a lot of adversity. And especially with this population, change was hard. So you have to be able to articulate that while we're changing, we're still keeping and saving those programs and services that you enjoy. And you have to listen, you have to be able to explain, you have to be able to pivot and change to meet the needs of the people that you serve. And you have to put the people that you're serving at the center. And I always say the best ideas come from our members, come from our staff, come from our volunteers. So you need to be open, but knowing that there's a lot of joy, but there's a lot of humility. You have to give a lot of mercy, and you have to have a lot of grace.
I think that's a perfect line to end this interview on, and very good advice. Thank you so much for sharing your story and giving us a little bit of your time and insight into what you've accomplished here. It's really terrific.
Well, thank you. And I'm honored that you thought of me and this organization. We're just very blessed in this community, and our community is very giving.
They are.
To this organization. And I certainly have to put a shout out to Jane and Gary Hemminger, because without their generosity, a lot of this couldn't have happened.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Carolyn, and
Thank
safe
you.
travels.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
do travel with 50 North, and a group of us are going on the Rhine. It's called the Jewel of the Rhine on Friday, and there's 45 of us, and 44 have never been on a river cruise. So this is exciting, but there's a lot to do as a host.
It will be a venture for sure.
It will be.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Carolyn, buckle up. It's the lightning round questions. You spend your days helping people make the most of life after 50. What's one thing you've learned from the member or members at 50 North that has changed your own outlook on life?
You know, what I've learned is watching the people here start taking care of themselves, because a lot of people have never been into a gym. And I noticed that when they first came in, they didn't have the balance, the flexibility. So I really learned that physical activity and keeping active and taking care of yourself is something I need to focus on more.
Yeah, no comment. If you could instantly master any hobby offered here at 50 North, which one would you choose?
So I've always wanted to learn how to sew.
Oh, that would basically break out into hives, but good for you. That's great.
I have.
And you have that offered here.
We do. We have. We did get some sewing machines. Selfishly, I've always wanted to learn that. So sometime I'm going to learn how to do that and learn a new instrument.
All right, we're going to check back in with you. When you're not leading one of Ohio's best senior centers, what's your favorite way to spend a free Saturday?
So because I'm always around people, which I love people, I love my solitude on a Saturday. So I love to take in a musical or a show or read a book and just quiet.
Yes, yes. What's a place you've traveled to or still hope to travel to that left a lasting impression on you?
I can't believe that I'm going to say this because it's someplace cold and I normally like to go someplace warm. And it was a trip I had to do at the last minute because we had to add another trip, a group of people, Iceland.
Oh, yes. That's on my bucket list too. Oh, yes. I know. I get that.
I loved Iceland, and now I want to go around the whole island, but I also had an opportunity to go to Cuba, and that was fascinating.
Oh, beautiful. People know Carolyn, the community leader. What's something about you, the person, that might surprise us?
So I think that surprising is when I was at the Arts Partnership, I always loved Art Garfunkel and his music, and Art Garfunkel came to Findlay, and I was allowed to introduce our sponsors, but I had to do it 15 minutes before he got on. But his sound guy was playing solitaire, so I didn't get on until 5 minutes beforehand. And I literally get off the stage, and Art Garfunkel looked at me and said, "You just finagled me." And I said, "I did what?" And he said, "You were not allowed to do that." So we're having this conversation right outside, off stage, right there. And he said, "I don't know if I want to play for you." And I said, "Well, Art, I don't know if I want to pay you." And he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "The one that signed your check."
I love it. I love it.
So it was just really interesting. I've had a lot of interesting stories when I was at the Arts Partnership with artists, performing artists. They are full of themselves. I could talk about Bob Newhart and his road manager. There's just a lot of different stories.
What great training for dealing with all kinds of personalities in your current role. So
yes, I was just hoping nobody saw us right off stage.
That's great. Well, it's truly been a pleasure. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn, for sharing your story of 50 North and for everything you're doing here in Findlay, both now and in the past. You've made a huge impact, and we really appreciate what you've done.
So let's hit the road and see who's next in the driver's seat.